Are you looking into getting into kayak fishing? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of kayak fishing. So if you guys are looking into getting into it, you're going to know the good and the bad through this video. First reason why I love kayak fishing is because you can get to places nobody else can get to, and you can catch fish that nobody else can catch. And that's the great thing about kayak fishing. As long as you can load your kayak up onto your vehicle and transport it wherever you want to fish, even if that's a small pond, you can do that as long as it's not private. So that's reason number one, kayak fishing is great. You can get places nobody else can get to. So now let's talk about the first reason kayak fishing sucks. First reason kayak fishing sucks is the wind is against you all the time. So if it's even a little bit windy out, like 5 degrees, you're gonna be moving around unless you got an anchor. And you know what? On this kayak, I don't have enough room for an anchor. So if I wanted to get an anchor, I would have to invest at least $100 into a whole system for the anchor. So that's the first reason why kayak fishing sucks. Now what's another reason kayak fishing is great? It's peaceful, very calming out here, and I just love to do it. If I'm having a bad day or I'm stressed or anxious or anything, I'll usually load up my kayak and I'll go fishing. It's very easy. All you gotta do, throw your kayak on your vehicle, go wherever you wanna go to fish, and then start fishing and have a good time. And the second reason why kayak fishing sucks, you're gonna get hung up on a lot of stuff, especially when you're fishing close to shore. Because when you're in a kayak, you can fish wherever you guys want. You can go up in 2 feet of water. You can go just about anywhere, which in turn leads you into more structure and more things you can get snagged up on. Same with your rod tips. If you've got your rods in your kayak, like I do behind me, you can see that there's 2 spots for rods and they're way up there. You know what? Those are gonna get caught up in trees and all kinds of stuff, especially if you're fishing close to shore. But that's okay, you guys just need to be conscious of your surroundings. And always just remember you're in a kayak and you've got poles behind you. Because if you aren't careful, you know what? You can break a rod easily. I've almost done it myself, trust me, many times. And you never learn. I mean, you get better at realizing that you've got poles sticking up behind you. What's another reason kayak fishing is great? Well, you're very stealthy in a kayak. If you're fishing up close to shore or you're fishing pretty much anywhere, you don't got any motors running, you don't have any trolling motors or anything. As long as you paddle your kayak slowly, you can be very quiet in the water and you can definitely avoid spooking fish that you're targeting. Let's just give you a quick example. This wind is not the best today, so it's blowing us right into shore. It's looking like a good fishing spot, but the wind is blowing us right inshore. So you're constantly paddling to get yourself into a better spot to fish. And also, if you do hook onto a fish, this is a pro and a con. It can be difficult to land fish from a kayak. You're gonna want a landing net, kind of like this one here. I've always got this one right next to me, so whenever I get a fish on, I can just scoop it down in the water and get that fish on the kayak. So another thing that I love about kayak fishing, you can position yourself very close to the shore, kind of like this, and you can cast along the shoreline instead of into the shoreline or out from the shoreline. So that way you can target more specific depths when you're out fishing on the kayak. And another thing that I hate about kayak fishing, guys, is your storage options. I mean, look at this, right behind me. I've got the backpack, I've got a bump board, and I've got a water bottle. That's all I've got with me. I've got 4 tackle trays inside of my backpack. And then up here, I don't got a lot of leg room either, as you can see, which is okay. This is not the most expensive kayak, and this is my first kayak that I've ever gotten, but it's gonna be that much better when I do upgrade to a larger kayak. So I've got one rod right here, pretty much ready to cast anytime. You just don't got a lot of room on kayaks. Unless if you get a really expensive big one you can stand on, you'll have plenty of room. But this kayak literally costs like $300 as opposed to the $2,500 pedal drive kayaks, which eventually I really want to get. And another thing that's great about kayak fishing, guys, you can accessorize your kayak. I mean, look at this. This right here is a rail. You can put all kinds of attachments on there. This one's for a paddle holder. You can see My paddle is in there good. So if I just want to set my paddle to the side and start fishing, I can do that. And then I've got this guy right here. Let me show you what that is. This right here is my little camera mount. I can just put that on there, and my camera's sitting there. And then I can clamp it on. It's not going anywhere. This is by Yak Attack. And then I can push this down, swivel it whichever way I want, pull it up, lift it up, all good to go. And then I put you guys right on there so that you can join me on my fishing adventures. So now you guys are back on the mount. So that's another really cool thing about kayak fishing, and that's the part that can get addictive. You can accessorize your kayak like crazy. You can get anchors, you can get trolling motors, rod holders, build your own kayak crate, that'll be fun. And you can even get stuff like fish finders on your kayak, which is awesome. That would be so cool to be able to kayak around with a fish finder, especially if you have a pedal drive kayak. What's another thing that does suck about kayak fishing? The weather can change fast, and if you're out on the water kayaking, then all of a sudden you just see it's starting to rain, or you don't pay attention to the weather, you can get stuck out there in the rain and in the elements. Or if you don't check the weather before you guys go out on the kayak, then you can get out, get ready to fish, and all of a sudden the weather is just not great. But if you guys are fishermen like me, you check the weather all the time so you can see if there's good conditions for fishing, which is very important, especially if you're going to be out kayak fishing. I personally wouldn't recommend going out kayak fishing in wind any more than like 5 miles per hour, because at that point it just gets really irritating, especially when it keeps blowing you into shore, because we're out here fishing to have a good time and not to get irritated like crazy, which is very possible when it comes to kayak fishing. And let's say I cast in front of me like this, the wind can blow my kayak completely around, and then I'll be fishing and reeling in from back here, which is never fun. Because then if I have to set the hook, that's going to be very awkward and very weird. And now, what's the last reason kayak fishing is great and why I love kayak fishing? It's fun. I love kayak fishing as opposed to bank fishing or even fishing from a boat. I mean, fishing from a boat is fun. Your trolling motor set up and you can get places quick. But on a kayak, you can't really get places that fast, but you can get to places other people can't get to. So you know what? In my opinion, kayak fishing is great, and the pros definitely outweigh the cons. So if you guys are looking into kayak fishing or you want to get into it, go and pick up a cheap kayak, try it out, and see if it's for you. And if you guys aren't already subscribed, consider doing that, because we do a lot of kayak fishing on this channel. And if you did enjoy the video, give it a like, share it with a friend, and I will see you guys in the next episode.